I've shown you these neoprene pads and locating panels already are not glued down at all. They're fixed with these bolts, okay, which are, you know, they may be so tight you need a coin to undo them, but once you've undone them, they undo. Once you've loosened them, they undo with these big finger-sized gnarled bolts, you know, with a coin-sized slot, and they're going into these brass locating nuts. Okay, so you can cut your own neoprene panels and fit them. Okay. Along the top is this metal trunking, okay, with a plastic cover, and it's divided into two bits. There are little exit holes all the way along. Okay. So I've undone these bolts already. Again, same type of bolt, can be easily undone with a coin at a gig to get them to be loose enough to do with your fingers, but once that's done you leave that. And it's divided into two bits. This shorter bit, as I showed you in the first bit, in the first episode, I'll take them both off. Okay, come on. Okay, now these metal trunkings are held in place with Phillips head screws. This has got 4 and this second one here has got 2 Phillips head screws, and you can remove this second bit of trunking, and then you've got access for the height to get into this cavity. And there's a sheet that Behringer includes with this which shows that top bit of trunking removed, and there's a wah-wah or expression pedal or whatever fitted in there, you know. But of course, because you can take out these neoprene things and cut your own, this is about 1 centimetre thick, just poke some holes through, and you can make panels that fill the whole of this as one piece and hold them down with 8 bolts, or make separate little ones, you know, for 1 pedal here or 2 different shaped pedals there, whatever you like. You get 3 different lengths of cable. All of them are these short interconnects to go, you know, between pedal and pedal. Okay. Then you get a couple of longer ones. This is slightly longer, like double the length of that, and this is double the length of that. So you've got some options if you're not filling the whole board. At least out of the packet, Behringer gives you the options of having some nice long cable lengths to route around with gaffer tape, you know, stuck to the bottom of here along the edge or something, and bring the cables, if you need an even longer one, they've got that, or at the other end for the output, you know. You get some variety, but all the others are these little short patching cables, right? Okay, so let's put in 1 pedal. Just poke it in like that, and it's nice and snug, you know. I mean, it's snugger than if it was just lying on the floor in a gig. But joy of joys, check it out. My standard Boss tuner fits absolutely perfectly. So you can whack your Boss pedals in here alongside your Behringers, and no trimming or anything is required. Very nice indeed. Okay. Let's put the mains in first. There, and you get a little green indicator light, which I can see at this. I'll just zoom in so it's visible on YouTube at a smaller size. Get a green indicator lamp. There's no on-off switch or anything. There's just DC current. You got from effects 2 sockets which you can feed from your final pedal. Should perhaps that be a stereo pedal, and then you've got the option of using these as a stereo out to a stereo rig, or you can bring in your dry and your effects signal from the final pedal or whatever, and feed one to an amp and one out to a DI box or whatever you like. You've got some options there anyway. And at the other end, you just plug your guitar lead in there, and you've opened the unit, and you'd have 1 lead permanently, you know, attached and stuck down or whatever, however you'd have it, you know, like that, you know, going to your first unit. Okay. So that finally brings us to the question of routing that DC daisy chain cable. Okay, look, as an example, I've got the DC plugged in, and to be honest, I think only a lunatic would use 12 pedals, but you know, whatever, let's say for the sake of argument we're going to use all 12 pedals. There's some issues. It's to do with the routing of the DC. Okay, now look, of course, you know, with these pedals, like most pedals, the audio comes in on the right and leaves on the left, so you've got to work in this direction. So you could run them, the guitar plugs into the input there, and then this lead goes into the first pedal, then into this, and then it goes into that, then that, then that, and then that, and then you can bring a cable round over the top, around to this pedal here, or along the middle, and round to this pedal here, and then you go along this row, right? And arrive at the final pedal, and it leaves going out of the output. The way I've got it at the moment, for example, is the audio comes in into the first pedal, then it works across, ding, 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 ding. And this pedal, the longer lead that was included, goes up, around over the top, down the side here, and into this pedal, and they go across, 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 and this final pedal comes up to the last top pedal, and its output leaves by the output. Okay, now the issue is this DC connector, because on these Behringer designs, the DC connector there is right next to the audio connector. Most of these pedals have got 2 inputs, not all, but most. And that's not really the point. The point is, like, this pedal's only got 1 input, but it's right next to the DC. Now, the point is this: the DC has to leave going up this way. Right? It can't come down that way. Now, for the top row, that's fine because you use the trunking. So the loop comes out and back in, the loop comes out and back in, the loop comes out and back in. And in every case, as the loop drops down and goes back, it's leaving vertically, going off in an upward direction, which leaves the audio connector there, plenty of space to be plugged in between the 2 cables, and it just can push down and sit flat like that. You could add a bit of gaffer if you wanted, whatever. Okay, now the issue is when you get to the bottom row. Alright, the DC has to go up the top, so what I did is I routed the DC out of this last one, along the edge here, into this first pedal on the bottom right here, and then the only way I could get it to work was by feeding it under the neoprene and back out with a loop, back in, out, like under the neoprene, out of this square hole there that's cut in the neoprene, into the DC, back, under the neoprene, out, back, under the neoprene, out, back, under the neoprene, out, back, etc. By the way, you do get 1 extra DC socket, there are 13 in total. Okay, so that unfortunately means you can't route the DC cable along the bottom here. You could remove the neoprene and gaffer tape the DC cable all along the bottom, and then replace the neoprene, and then the DC could come up like that. So that would mean there'd be nothing here. But you can't do that because then you can't fit this audio cable. It will not fit. It just if this is pointing downward, and I'll show you with this one. If this is pointed downward like that, you can't get that audio cable in. It's just not possible. So the best way, if you're going to use 12 pedals, is to route it under the neoprene and back out of here. Of course, it's best to remove the neoprene and stick your cable down with gaffer and then replace the neoprene. But of course, there it is under there, and it makes the neoprene push up a bit and stuff like that. Well, the other issue is, okay, so you do it with the loops coming out of the square holes, and you retain that ability for the loops to go forward. But then you get this issue of these cables don't quite fit. They're 1 inch long. They're 1 inch too long, so they don't fit in. They stick up a bit like that, you see. But that one I've managed to twist and it's staying in its position. That one as well. But yeah, that's I suppose you can do that and stick some gaffer tape and stuff. But it would have been nice if there was some even shorter cables for the bottom row or something. I mean, you can put them up there. Yeah, it's not a huge issue, is it? Like pushing them up over like that. But you push that too far, and this audio lead will just pop out if you're not careful. So you're going to have to think about the routing, is what I'm saying. Anyway, there it is, all 12 pedals fitted. I shall put the camera back on the stand and just show you one last thing. Okay, so the gig finishes, you turn off all your pedals, unplug the DC, stash your DC somewhere in your bag, undo the sockets for the input and output, take your guitar out. Like that, of course the trunking would be fitted back and bolted in place so that this row would all be neater. Then you simply just get the lid, bring it up to the hinges, bring it over the top, turn it round, lock it, and you're ready to go. Okay, I hope this has been useful to you. We're going to be reviewing the entire series of these pedals. We've got all of them, the RSM pedals, so check back over the following weeks. We'll be adding the reviews of the individual pedals one by one, and there's some really cool pedals in there, I must say. Okay, so hope this has been useful.